You know, folks, the whole world is talking about Bitcoin. Want to know why? Maybe it's because Bitcoin rose in value over 150% last year, and this is just the beginning. Bitcoin is online investing that anyone can do. Visit bitcoinuniversity.org today. Take a master class. Download the Book of Bitcoin and take your investment portfolio to the next level. Visit bitcoinuniversity.org and discover all that a Bitcoin can do for you. That's bitcoinuniversity.org, bitcoinuniversity.org.
Talking about
this is the Rip and Read featuring Curtis Sliwa. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa.
So Curtis Sliwa is your upcoming host, and Curtis, I know it peeves you to no end that I'm in the chair tomorrow for Left versus Right, not you.
So you like to pour salt into the wounds, huh? In fact, Lou Rufino, let me hear this new promo that they're already playing ad nauseum. I've never heard Left versus Right promoted more than this promo.
Tomorrow at 4 p.m., it's the left versus the right. In the right corner, it's James Flippin. In the left corner, it's Anthony Weiner. Listen as these two heavyweights battle it out from the opening bell to the knockout punch. It's a 77 WABC debate, and they're coming out swinging on New York's news and talk station, 77 WABC.
Really. So we got the hillbilly from Bloomfield versus Anthony Weiner from Park Slope.
Bloomfield versus Brooklyn.
Yeah, well, Park Slope especially. It doesn't represent all of Brooklyn. Never represented Canarsie. So they swapped me out for you. What is it? It's like going from varsity football to freshman football. What is this? Come on.
Well,
Flippin'.
I mean, look, obviously I do not have you in any way on the experience front. But you also have to think it's the left versus the right. So the programming here, Chad, John, Margot, they're looking at it from a perspective of we want to really have the different sides well represented. And sometimes, depends on the issue, you and Anthony Weiner, it can be kind of tough to tell. Like, what's the difference here? You're both kind of on the same side, you know, not big fans of Trump, you know. Maybe certain issues like immigration, you might be a little bit opposed, but they like a big dividing line between both sides on left versus right.
So admit it, you stabbed me in the back. You
No, that's actually no, because I didn't ask for this. I'm happy here on the news desk. You know, I'm doing my thing.
Listen, Flippin', I had to listen to a cacophony all morning long with Sid this whole week. That's why talk radio is going to get boring. I just want to continue to do my job, Bruce Blakeman. I have the best job in America. If Donald Trump called him up and said, would you like to? Absolutely, I'm on my way. I've been hearing this horse bullschnizzle.
Horse hockey?
All week. That people, oh, no, I'm happy what I'm doing. Don't give me that.
Okay.
You desperately wanted this slot where you're on the right, and you did everything you could to undercut me.
I actually, believe it or not, did not go pursuing this, but I will say this. You are partially to blame for this entire situation.
Me? Moi?
Yes, because you have been coaching me, encouraging me, making me a member of Curtis Sliwa's broadcast boot camp, and in many ways getting me ready for this kind of thing. You know, the one thing they don't do with the left versus the right is swap out Anthony Weiner. That's his slot. He's the guy on the left.
Think of that. Wait a second. Since its initial program, which I was on the right for quite some time, and then all of a sudden they got tired of me the first time, and they brought in Roger Stone of the Stone Zone. Then they brought in John Catsimatidis himself. Then they decided, Dominic Carter. You know, they tried everybody under the sun. Talk about DEI, right, here at WABC. And then finally they say, Curtis, we want you to do it again because you have a much more, let's just say, debatable quality to your engagement with Anthony than the others where it's just a shout fest. Now they're tired of this, and they go to you. I mean, this is the worst. I can see going to Roger Stone. I can see going to John Catsimatidis. I can see going to Dominic Carter. But you, man, That's like having the freshman coming off the bench and take over for the guy, the captain of the football team, the quarterback, and it's take the bench. Aaron Rodgers, take the bench.
Maybe you've been Wally pipped. And, it's like Dick Vitale says, the diaper dandy. Maybe I'm the diaper dandy.
You're too happy about this.
By the way, you said DEI. Does that refer to defining excellence and intensity? Because I would say that does apply to Dominic in many ways.
Oh, my God. And now you're being like a politician, right? I'm going to be listening intently Saturday from 4 to 5. Any faux pas, any mistake you make, I am bringing it to the most powerful radio station all weekend long. Remember?
Yeah.
I'm on the best side of the other side of midnight.
I know.
All Sunday morning, 6 hours. I'm going to be playing your cuts.
I know. And trust me, I'm well aware that any sort of mess up, any sort of mix up, anything of that nature, you'll do 3 hours on it.
In fact, I'll even put it into the animal welfare hour. I'll figure out a way to insert it into that 10 to 11. Just watch your P's and Q's, because I know this was like the Ides of March. I know people are going to say it's not March. But Cassius and Brutus, that's you and Noam Laden, the both of you. You love to take me out. In fact, you'd love to take this rip and read segment.
Well, I mean, look, in many ways, as I mentioned, Curtis Sliwa's broadcast boot camp and The Apprentice is coming for the master.
Yeah. Keep stroking me. See how far that gets you. Meantime, let's get back on track.
All right.
Because they forced me to be in with you.
Yeah, they did.
Yesterday, I kicked you the hell out.
I know, but HR got involved, from what I understand.
They got involved, and they said, look, for a number of reasons, take some liquid Prozac. Calm down. You can't do a Mike Tyson to him and slap him in the face with that fake fight coming on in a few hours against Paul. Mm-hmm. This is what you get paid to do. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's start with the ugly, because I don't know of a uglier governor in the state, any of the states of the United States, than your governor, half in the bag, Murphy.
Oh, that's not nice.
Oh, my God. He looks like he's got Jake Lake rum rouge. He looks like he could be in the old Bowery, having a plate of soup and saying prayers because he's drying out. Remember what he said like 2 weeks ago at the start of the announcements of the fires that are coming from your state, Jersey, and the drought? Remember what he said?
I would say the big watchword is, folks, use less water in all aspects of your life.
And he is. He's been spotted at his favorite gin mill in Red Bank, and every night, happy hour, because prior to that, he's shaking like a leaf. He orders his scotch straight. In fact, orders it straight with no ice cubes any longer, and he doesn't cut it with any water. He drinks it like a man's meat. And he says, do as I say and as I do, and he's leading the way. Now, he's issued a number of other restrictions on the use of water.
That's right.
Maybe he can deal with our turlet here at WABC that runs like a faucet.
Yeah, well, you do know that you have to make sure that you don't leave the handle down.
Let me tell you.
Because you've been a couple of times.
This is a first world country, right?
Yeah, okay.
I've dealt with turlets in third world countries and run better than the one here. I don't know how much John pays, the lease, the maintenance.
I understand.
It's none of my business. But they have been here like a number of times. It just continues to leak.
I'm aware of that. That is true. But at the same time, you put the signs up around all the recycling containers, paper only, paper only. And then someone was good enough to put a sign in the bathroom saying, make sure that the handle isn't stuck down when you leave. But sometimes after you've been in there, man, it seems like that water's flowing like Niagara Falls.
Let me ask you a question, James. Does it come to this? I mean, this is a modern high-rise building, right? The Upper East Side of Manhattan, right? Where they're begging people to come back. They're begging people to lease space. Half the space here is empty. And they don't even have a freaking turlet that works right.
Well, look, I don't want to knock you off the wildfire thing because I know you want to talk about that.
No, because there's a drought restriction, and as you know, I take it very seriously.
I'm aware of that, but I'm just saying that with congestion pricing and the lack of any working toilets in the high-rise buildings, it might make it's tough to get people back.
All right,
in the
but
office.
this all started with Jersey,
yes.
So let me know what are the new restrictions that Governor Half in the Bag Murphy wants in order to preserve water.
Well, as of this week, the state of New Jersey is under a drought warning. As of mid-October, it was a drought watch. So the restrictions in place right now are still kind of along the lines of recommendations. They're saying turn the water off when you brush your teeth. turn the water off when you're shaving, obviously fix any leaks like you alluded to. And even when you're doing the dishes, you should really try to kind of fill the sink with water as opposed to leaving the sink running, the whole thing.
So basically wash your dishes in the dirty water that's there in the sink. That's really what you're saying, right?
I mean, you put soap in there. You put dish soap in there.
Now, what kind of soap? Do you put Ivory? Do you put Dove? Do you put Dial?
You're asking me personally? Like
Yeah.
I think it's Palmolive. I don't really.
What? You don't wear your Playtex gloves? You don't wear your little apron there when you're doing your domestic work?
I have an apron. It says Flippin.
Okay.
It's got
Good.
And it's like a grill thing.
All right.
Anyway.
So we're going to monitor you this week because I'm so pissed at you to see if, in fact, you're following all the drought restrictions of
that
your
big
governor.
fire, by the way, 70% contained now, the one between New York and New Jersey.
Little gust of wind, and watch. It'll consume like half your... Yours is the Garden State, right?
It is. It's the Garden State.
A lot of green, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And they claim the most congested state in America where houses are butt to nut up against trees, right?
Most densely populated, yes.
So just think of all those neighborhoods that'll go up in smoke if you have to depend on your commandante-in-chief half in the bag, Governor Murphy. Oh, my God, are you in trouble? By the way, speaking of Murphy, I do give him props for fighting and challenging congestion pricing.
That's right.
But I think he's got a hidden reason. It's always a hidden reason, these elected officials. They're fake, phony, fraudulent fugazi.
I haven't heard this one before.
He worked for years first as the European director of Goldman Sachs, then had an office down on Wall Street. Not the little Wall Street by Exchange Place, Jersey City, where Goldman Sachs has an office, but he wanted to be right across from the National Treasury with all the gold bars. So he wanted Wall Street itself. You do realize he was known to pick up his scotch like every day at that liquor store for the high-enders, those who make their money on insider trading information and junk bonds. You do know who all of them should be in jail. You know which scotch he orders? You know what the number one scotch is?
I'm sure it's something relatively expensive.
Johnny Walker what?
There's Johnny Walker Blue.
Oh, that's it.
Okay.
Because he's like blue in the face after drinking all of it. Literally what he would do when he was one of the directors of Goldman Sachs. Mm-hmm. Jeeves would bring the car up because he's got to go back to his mansion in Jersey on the Jersey Shore,
right,
and load up a case of Johnny Walker Blue.
Oh,
that's just for the freaking day.
Okay.
That's why he hates congestion pricing.
Oh, because he's got to come into Manhattan for
for
supplies.
He gets clipped $9, right? One way.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's got nothing to do with the fact that his constituents are going to get hit with $9 while going to work every day.
Yeah, but what do? They give you a mulligan. It's like $3 off if you got to go through the tunnel.
$3 off if you go through a tunnel. Yeah,
right. So it's like a mulligan basically, or a rebate. You get like a rebate.
I mean, it's not, the $6 is not exactly a handshake.
And this is all Democrats, right? This started with Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo. Then went down to Kathy Hochul, Eric Adams. They're all on board, all the Democrats. Mm-hmm. Now they seem, some of them, to be ever so hesitating.
Yeah.
And yet, close to $1 billion, this is what it's supposed to raise each year. We lose because nobody's paying the fare, not in the subway or the buses.
Right, that's right.
So how are you going to raise money for capital improvements if you'll be lucky to raise enough money to offset all the money you lose on the fare evasion where people jump over the turnstile, under the turnstile, they go through the emergency gate. It's like the Irish sweepstakes, and obviously bogart the bus fare by telling the bus driver, mind your freaking business, Ralph Crandon. I ain't paying jack.
Well, I don't think it has, I mean, look, I'm expressing my opinion a little bit here, I guess, but the MTA.
Oh, you're getting ready for left versus right, right?
Left versus right.
Oh, you had to throw salt on the wound there.
Yeah, but the MTA is such a behemoth and so out of control as a bureaucracy that I don't think anybody could make heads or tails of where that money's going to go. They're going to take it in, and it's going to go somewhere.
Look, if you're going to be me in left versus right, you don't say MTA, you say money-taking agency.
Or, as I always like to say, moving to tax your ass.
Oh, so now you're taking a page out of Sid Rosenberg, the king of all profanity, according to the New York Times.
That's profanity.
Watch your mouth, huh? Watch your mouth. Don't get too happy.
I will also just mention that it's very convenient that Kathy Hochul, congestion pricing was a law. Then it proved very unpopular. They had an election coming up, and she was like, we're putting it on pause. Then the Democrats win 2 key seats in the Hudson Valley, and she's like, okay, thank you, and congestion pricing's back on.
Of course, you knew that was going to happen. They stab you in the back every time. Remember, according to Curtis Sliwa, unlike President Ronald Reagan, who said, trust and verify, with me it's always verify then trust. I don't trust any of them. Not any of them. And now I know I will never trust you again, James Flippin, you freaking backstabber. They may force me to work with you, but I'll get you, my little pretty, if it's the last thing I do. Now get the hell out of here!
Curtis Sliwa. Curtis Sliwa. Rip and read. Check this out.
This is the Rip and Read, featuring Curtis Sliwa.
Talking about.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa. This is the Rip and Read.
This is the theme song of this new love affair between President Donald Trump and Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan by war. Previously, Eric Adams viewed Donald Trump the way he did Governor Abbott: racist, misogynist, sexist, homophobe, xenophobe. You know, the typical lines. But if you can catch the president's attention ever so fleetingly, he might have a change of mind, like he's been expressing about what he thinks is the plight of Eric Adams before the Justice Department. Remember at the Madison Square rally where Sid Rosenberg earned from the New York Times his new designation, the king of all profanity? Remember what President Donald Trump said about his newfound friendship with Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan.
I think they upgraded his seat in an airplane. I hear that's a very serious charge. They've upgraded my seat a lot, too. I used to fly commercial. I don't fly it so much anymore. But they'd see me back there and, sure, would you like an upgrade? I don't know. Maybe it's something else. But I have to tell you, he's been really great.
Yeah, he's been really great. Of course, on the phone every day. You're the best, Trump. You're the best. Oh, I want to go back to being a Republican like I was when I voted for Rudy Giuliani in the 90s against David Dinkins. And then what Trump recently said before the actual election.
I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone, I say it. But Adams, he came out against the immigrants, against the destruction of New York, frankly. He did the right thing. I said he will be indicted within 6 months. And he was. They indicted him. Now, I don't know if it's legit. I haven't looked at it. But it seems very suspicious when he comes out against something they're doing. They're destroying the country. They are destroying our country. He was right. I go down the streets of New York. I went down the streets of New York 2 days ago, and I'm looking at migrants all over Madison Avenue, all over Fifth Avenue. I've never seen anything like it. I'll tell you, I've never seen. This is New York. You see empty stores. You never saw empty stores on Madison Avenue. You never see them. It's a shame. He did the right thing, but he got indicted. And they play weaponization. These are an evil group of people. These are really a bad group of people.
Oh, making excuses for Eric Adams, who's been de Blasio 2.0. Well, Eric Adams had to earn his new MAGA status, so he went into the bullpen today with the girls of The View. Here was the question that he was waiting for.
You can talk about whether or not you believe that your recent embracing of Trump, your critics are saying, is because you hope for a pardon or you hope to get some sort of the charges perhaps dropped.
Not ready to put on that MAGA hat yet, but every time he was asked this was his stock answer.
I have a legal team. They're going to manage that case.
He must have given that answer like 10 times.
I have a legal team. They're going to manage that case.
Let me hear that again.
I have a legal team. They're going to manage that case.
Yeah. Eric Adams, he is a fake, phony, fraudulent fugazi. He will do anything to survive. His lips are hermetically sealed on the tuchus of President Donald Trump, who thinks that they're like two peas in a pod, a soup in a sandwich, a horse in a carriage. He couldn't be more hopelessly wrong. Hey, anybody out there, friends of Donald Trump who talk to him, will you remind him that for the first 2 years he called himself the Biden of Brooklyn, Eric Adams did, and was dissing and dismissing Donald Trump? How quickly Trump seems to want to forget. In fact, he's just done a favor for Eric Adams. He swapped out Damian Williams, first U.S. attorney, Southern District, headhunter extraordinaire, fired him, which takes place on January 20th, bringing in his guy, Jay Clayton, former U.S. Secretary and ex-commissioner chairman of the SEC, probably with the orders to make these charges go away on my newfound friend, Eric, the swagger man with no plan, Adams.
Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa.
Curtis doesn't know about you, but he rips and reads.
This is the Rip and Read.
It's true. It's true. The Crown has made it clear. The climate must be perfect all the year. A law was made a distant moon ago here. July and August cannot be too hot. And there's a legal limit to the snow here in Camelot. The winter is forbidden till December and exits March the 2nd on the dot. By order, summer lingers through September in Camelot. Camelot, Camelot. I know it sounds a bit bizarre, but in Camelot, Camelot, that's how conditions are. The rain may never fall.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you remember this? Richard Burton, on and again, off again, husband, lover, friend, drunken rage with Elizabeth Taylor. Well, before that, it was Eddie Fisher. We could go through the litany of all the different men that Elizabeth Taylor was hooked up with, but one of them is Richard Burton. Star of Camelot, singing about Camelot, that was actually taken as the theme song of the presidency of JFK. His brother RFK, who he made Attorney General, nepotism in full effect. And obviously, Teddy Kennedy, who was waiting in the wings. They assumed that they would have 3 Kennedys in a row as president. There will be JFK, then term limited, RFK, then term limited, then Ted Kennedy. And we were told what a wonderful family the Kennedys were. They are on Martha's Vineyard. They're just stellar family. They could do no wrong. Charitable, concerned about the world, the globe. And what can Americans do for themselves to make life better for all those who just don't have the wealth and the resource of the Kennedy family that goes back to the patriarch, Joe Kennedy Sr., bootlegger. That's how he made his money. He had the casting couch as he owned a movie studio in California, and then was the ambassador to England until Winston Churchill told FDR, get this guy out of here because he loves Adolf Hitler. He is a Nazi sympathizer. But you see, we made all that go away. We created this aura around the Kennedys. And so many of you who grew up at the time that I did, who were baby boomers in the 60s, you bought all that bullschnizzle. You bought it all. And this turned out to be one of the most decadent, debaucherous families ever to exist in politics. And by the way, that's saying a hell of a lot. So now, who's been elevated to the pedestal? A man who can do no wrong, RFK Jr. Just look at RFK Jr., but most of you don't want to. He's a 70-year-old man. I'm 70 years old. And you say to yourself, my God, this guy looks pretty damn good for a 70-year-old. He preaches against putting chemicals into your body of any type. It could do tremendous harm to your body. He's right about that. But then who is our number one expert on Botox and steroids here at WABC? Our own Sid Rosenberg. Notice his observation that I took of RFK Jr. that all of you who are Trumpers don't want to look at. Because like all politicians, he is a sanctimonious hypocrite.
Isn't it funny that RFK, who does look amazing, guy's got the best body for a man his age I've ever seen, and I'm in pretty good shape. Mm-hmm. But he puts more chemicals in his body than anyone you know. You know he's roided out of his face, and yet he's out there going to talk about what chemicals you should or shouldn't put in your body?
So typical. But all of you go, what are you talking about? That's natural. Like somebody here, some gavone in the hallway said, that's natural because he eats good and he does a lot of exercising. Yeah, he could have been locked up in a prison cell doing isometrics and calisthenics. He could have been the second coming of Jack LaLanne. He could have been Charles Atlas. You don't look like that at 70. Look at the puffiness. Look at it, man. He's all shot up with Botox and roids. And that's with our resident expert on steroids and Botox, our own Sid Rosenberg. So that's strike one. Strike two is he says he's going to make America healthy again. And he said that in the presence of President Donald Trump, who, as you know, has no intention of discarding his daily menu of eating Big Macs, fish fillets, supersized fries, and, of course, downing it with a Diet Coke, which a week ago on a podcast, RFK Jr. Described as being poison. It's poison. You know Trump ain't going to change. You know Trump ain't going to change. But, again, this is what RFK Jr. said. And to all of you out there, Republicans and Libertarians, Trumpers, think back when Michael Bloomberg was saying this in the nanny state and he wanted to count every particuli of salt that you were ingesting on a salted pretzel. He wanted you not to have the big gulp at the 7-Elevens. I mean, he wanted to restrict your sugar intake, salt intake, everything, and certainly no smoking. But doing him one better was Michelle Obama. Remember, she had the gardens right there in the lawn of the White House. She was talking about eating vegetables and fruits and not eating meats and really restricting your diet. And you all made fun of her. Come on, you all made fun. I listened. I mean, on and on and on. The same people kissing RFK Jr.'s took us now of how he's going to make America healthy again, with the same people making fun of Michael Bloomberg trying to oversee a nanny state and Michelle Obama, who is trying to introduce vegetables and fruits into a diet of starches and meat. You remember that? Oh, you don't want to remember it. Well, one of Brian Kilmeade's guests on his show remembered it very clearly and recognized the hypocrisy in so many of you who are now sort of mouthing the words of Donald Trump with RFK Jr. upon his appointment. We're going to make America healthy again.
If you want to get America healthy again, this is the type of things you do.
Yeah, look, I mean, these are well thought out concerns about the state of obesity in our country, the state of people's individual health. That said, like, this is a very unconservative way of, I mean, I remember when Michelle Obama was having all these nutritional initiatives in the Obama White House, that really enraged most Republicans and conservatives, because it was just too much of a role for government to do and interfere in people's individual lives. And Robert Kennedy's always been a man of the left. He has always had an active role of government in people's individual behaviors, like many on the left do. And, you know, that is sort of the philosophical. It is a little, stunning to me to see some people who are conservatives and who don't want government to be involved in a lot of people's individual lives and decision making, and they think they should be able to eat whatever they want or make the decisions to drink or eat whatever they want. And you have now the nominee for HHS secretary taking a very progressive, very different view on the role of government and the role of individual behavior.
Well, that's because for Trumpers, Trump has embraced them, and they can't say anything negative. They can't. They can't, or the Trumpers are going to be all over them. I hear it here at WABC. They're so hesitant to challenge any of the choices of President Donald Trump. They're like, oh, it'll be a hell of a price to pay. That's what's going to make talk radio so extraordinarily boring over the next 4 years. If all of my colleagues are just going to be took as kisses, which for the most part they sound like at this point. And I must tell you about RFK Jr., and I'll get into it in the deep dive tonight when I'm doing the best side of the other side of midnight from 12 midnight to 6 in the morning Saturday, because he wants to eliminate fluoridation from the water supply. And I know there's a debate about that. But I go back, like many of you baby boomers, and don't deny it. The John Birch Society to the far, far, far right in the 50s and 60s even claimed that Dwight Eisenhower, our president, was a communist, a secret communist agent, said that when you put fluoride in the water system, it's a communist plot to gain control of the mindset of Americans. Yeah. Hey, it was done to eliminate cavities so that we don't walk around looking like people in England with rotted teeth. That's number one. Number two, let's go to the Michael Vick choice of the Donald Trump administration. Christine Noem, the Barbie doll governor of the state of South Dakota that doesn't even have 1 million people in it, who has been tapped to be in charge of Homeland Security with 17 different divisions, over 300,000 personnel, and very critical organizations. The critical organizations are ICE, the Migre, Immigration Naturalization Service, Border Patrol, Customs, FEMA, the TSA. We can go on and on and on. And this woman is supposed to be in charge of this, the Michael Vick of the Trump administration. No, I decry this choice. Earlier today, Bruce Blakeman, Nassau County executive, shared with Sid Rosenberg and our audience a story about when he first met Governor of South Dakota, Christine Noem.
If you got 30 seconds, I'll tell you a funny story about Christine Noem.
Yeah.
So Christine Noem is coming into the state convention last year, and the state convention's held in Nassau County. So I went to meet her at the airport. I pulled up to her plane. She came down. I said, "Hi, I'm Bruce Blakeman. I'm the Nassau County executive. I wanted to welcome you." And she said, "Yeah, I know who you are." So I said to her, "Listen," I said, "this is your detectives detail. If you need anything, I'm sure they'll be able to take care of all your needs, especially your security needs." She came with a detective of her own. And she said to me, "Oh, I don't need any detectives. Just give me a gun."
Yeah, just give me a gun, because if she had seen any dogs along the way from the airport to the location of the New York State GOP dinner, which I attended, she would have pulled out her AK-47, which her trooper had handy and ready, and would have done what she always did. Kill dogs. You remember Cricket, her hunting dog? She not only shot him up one time in a ditch, but she ran out of bullets one clip, and then she shot him up again. By the way, I was at that New York State GOP dinner that she spoke. I wasn't all that impressed. She's a Barbie doll. Then, of course, there is the situation of Matt, I love jailbait Gates. You like that, right, Justin Ellick? Matt, I love jailbait Gates. Oh, and the number one supporter, bar none, is our own James Golden. James Golden, it was like his sycophantodian lackey of I love jailbait Matt Gaetz.
I heard Curtis a few minutes ago wondering if I was going to use my time today to criticize Donald Trump over the appointment, the nomination of Matt Gaetz to be this nation's Attorney General. Very short answer. No, I am not going to criticize it. In fact, I am going to tell you why I'm elated over it very, very quickly. And that's just the start of it.
Yeah. So you're going to promote him on head of the Department of Justice. he will not be the Attorney General. He resigned as soon as it was mentioned because he knew that a report on him would be issued by the House this Friday, today. And this avoids that report from being released. He's not going to pass muster. And I guarantee he'll be assigned as an ambassador to his favorite country outside of the United States, the country of the man, Viktor Orban, who is considered to be the Donald Trump of Eastern Europe, Hungary. And he'll stay there for a while and then make his comeback. You see, everybody getting wild and crazy about Matt, I love jailbait Gates, the Michael Vick of the Trump administration, Christine Ohm, the Barbie doll, and, of course, RFK Jr., who is a prime believer of what all people in political dynasties believe. It's do as I say, but not as I do. And you all applaud like seals. Oh, these are the greatest selections of all time. Not.
This is the Rip and Read featuring Curtis Sliwa. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. It's the left versus the right. In the right corner, it's James Flippin. In the left corner, it's Anthony Weiner.
Wait.
Listen as these two heavyweights battle it out
Wait.
from the
Hold
opening
everything.
bell to the knockout punch.
Hold.
It's a 77 WABC debate.
Wait a minute.
They're
Wait.
coming out swinging.
What?
On New York's news and talk station, 77 WABC.
Curtis, what was that? What was that?
That was the work of Brutus with Cassius, Noam Layden. They've always had their eyes on the Rip and Read. They can't touch it. So they went one better. Noam, as you know, is hopelessly liberal. So Flippin decided to complain that at times I sound like you on left versus right, that on some issues we agree, which is true. But I guess the standard is that if you're left versus right, right versus left, you have to disagree on everything. I refuse to do that. So I've been relegated to the bench a second time.
Have you trained him up just like you did all the rest?
That's the problem, is that normally you respect the person as you have, as the Mamaluke Frank Morano occasionally does, Dominic Carter, well, respect, not James Flippin.
You know what this is? This is the plot of Rocky, right? Didn't Apollo Creed's opponent drop out at the last moment? They had to find some schlub, some tomato can that they had to put in at the last minute. But I forget, did Rocky win in Rocky 1? I gotta remember.
It's okay. This is the
man.
business that we have chosen. I get it. And James Flippin saw an opportunity, so he complained to ownership management that we harmonize too often, like when you do a cappella and doo-wop, and that was a beat.
We do excellent. We disagree plenty, but so he is coming in. Is he being trained by Dominic? That's what I worry about.
No, he is his own. He has the cred. He has the cred. I call him Hillbilly Vance, even though he lives in Bloomfield. When Vance was selected as the vice president, he was euphoric. So he has good credibility on the right.
But I've had no time to prepare for this opponent.
No, but he also has a libertarian streak.
Okay.
He is he's very knowledgeable on the issues.
Well, if he can take me out, that's the rocket ship to the top at WABC Radio.
Well, notice you're the only person who remains set in the position of on the left. They haven't even rotated you out, even when you've been sick some weeks.
Yeah.
But notice, I started with you. Then they said not good enough. Roger Stone Zone, not good enough. Then John Katzimatidis, he had other things to do after a few sessions with you. They chose Dominic. Both of you almost went to jail for assault and battery. And so they brought me back. They recycled me. And now apparently some people are saying that we sound like we're harmonizing, like it's doo-wop and a cappella. And James Flippin was the one to stick.
All right, give me a little inside. Give me some tips on it. Is Flippin? What's his thing? What's his shtick? Is he? I mean, Flippin. How about start there? That's not his real name, is it?
Let's just say I'm in the midst of, with Nancy, investigating
doing
his background.
a deep dive.
After this indiscretion, this udisgraziata, I will get him. But to his credit, he is very knowledgeable.
He is.
He's a true believer. You won't detect that when he does the news. He's able to keep his Trumper cap off,
right?
His J.D. Vance cap off, so you would never know what his politics are. But he will be a really good opponent.
Well, I see him backstage here at the radio station. Does a great job with news. But I got to tell you something. I'm suspicious of these guys who are nice all the time.
Well, I think also they didn't like the fact that, notice I've slammed 3 of the picks right away. Matt Gaetz, Kristi Noem, and the latest RFK Jr. So I think management and ownership said this guy is sounding too much like the opposition. Because, when you support Trump, you have to support Trump all the way. There's no...
Well, I will say this, Curtis. Any Trump voter who is surprised, this is exactly what he said he was going to do. There's no surprise there.
Correct.
Now, I know that you've been in the camp of saying he was saying a lot of things during the campaign just for effect, just to get votes. He wasn't going to follow through on them. I don't know. This might be exactly what we have in mind.
And the person who is the giddiest, the happiest of all is Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, who saw yesterday that his first U.S. attorney change was Damian Williams, who is the top gun in the Department of Justice, head of the Southern District, swapped out for Jay Clayton, his former U.S. Security and Exchange Commission chairman, the former Trump.
You mean, wait, I didn't hear this. He handed in his letter of resignation, and Trump already came up.
Trump fired him. Wow. So obviously that doesn't take place till January 20th, but that was the first. So that's another gift to Eric Adams. He went on The View today with all the ladies, and he defended Trump to the hilt. He's starting to earn his MAGA hat. He's doing his pivot and shift, and I predict by January 20th, he will put that MAGA hat on.
Well, I was out at the Thomas Jefferson Democratic Club in your old neighborhood, and a lot of Democrats in that club, and it's a fairly moderate club now.
Yes.
They had some very nice things to say about you, and I don't know, it's a heavily black community. There were some Adams supporters there. But I got to tell you, you can't win a Democratic primary if Donald Trump's doing you favors.
No, but then again, you could do other things, like seek to run as the choice of the president-elect, who most Republicans are involved in idolatry. And there are county chairmen who might give him a Wilson Pakula and let him run as a Republican.
There is not enough popcorn in the city for me to watch you and Eric Adams duke it out for the Republican nomination. That would just be too good. Oh, it'd be too good.
Come on. So I actually encourage that. President Donald Trump, I encourage you to put the arm on all these county chairmen and make them, 3 of them. It only requires 2 people to give him a Wilson Pakula, give him a chance to win the Republican primary, and then he's got to debate me because he's taking matching funds. That's part of the rules.
He's also taking them illegally, but that's another story.
Right. And then if all else fails, he could be assigned as an ambassador. Remember, Dwyer was assigned as an ambassador in Mexico City by Truman in order to keep him out of jail.
They need a black in the administration to have a name order. It's not going to be Sage Steele. It might be him.
Look, U.S. ambassador to wherever he wants.
Kyrgyzstan, probably.
Right. In which Turkey.
So long as Turkish Airways flies there, he's there.
Right. So he would have diplomatic immunity. You can't touch him till he comes back. So actually, everybody at that point would be extraordinarily happy. Left versus right, this disgrace, this shunda without me this Saturday, with Flippin replacing me with Anthony Weiner 4-5.
Janine Pirro here for Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group helps Americans protect their future with the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver. If you're retiring or retired, go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Pirro for your free Janine Pirro Colonial Metals Group Retirement Protection Kit, or call 800-965-8004. 800-965-8004 now to receive a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver.